Hi, this is Alana Mbanza from WriteYourPersonalStatement.com, and in this video I want to go over the difference between a personal statement and a statement of purpose. A lot of students struggle with this. They're really not sure what to write, and so I just kind of want to talk specifically about each essay to give you an idea of what you should be thinking about. Now, generally, the school will give you a prompt, and hopefully there will be details in it. But if they're not, you can kind of use these as a general rule of thumb. So generally, a personal statement gives you more flexibility on what you're writing, which can be a good thing because you're not kind of trapped into a prompt, but it can also be very scary if you're not sure what to write about. Personal statement, as it implies, is personal, and so the admissions committee wants to know about you. However, you have to be careful because you can't just talk about random things if you want your essay to be effective. So typically when you're writing your personal statement, you want to focus on what prompted your interest in the field of study or major that you're applying to. And you really kind of want to go all the way back to the beginning when you first learned about this field of study and track your development along the way and your experiences that have kind of contributed to your passion for this subject. So I was working with a student who was interested in zoology, and when I kind of talked through the essay prompts with him, he was like, oh, well, I'm interested in animals, I like animals, and so that's why I want to study this field, which is fine, but it's also very cliche and not deep enough. And so after more questions, it came out that he remembers distinctly going to the zoo for the first time as a little boy, and as an African American boy, he saw his father's friend was also a zoologist, and so that left a really lasting impression on him to see someone who looked like him in a role like that. And so really that's where his story began, with seeing himself in the role that he was interested in. Now, this is before he even knew that zoology was a field, but it kind of started that interest to learn more about it. And so that's what I mean by really go all the way back to the beginning and really think about what experiences, what exposures you've had to the particular field that you're applying to, and tell that story. And again, because it is personal, you can be very creative in how you tell that story. So a lot of students think of this in terms of an essay that they have to write for school, and I would suggest that instead you think of it as a creative writing story. So talk about the first time that you became interested in this subject, but make it interesting. So describe the sights and sounds and smells of that experience. Describe who was involved, what they did, what they said, what the impact was on you. Really just make your introduction to this essay as creative and interesting as you can. And then you want to kind of talk about your experiences and the classes you've taken that kind of support your interest in that field, as well as your future goals for kind of continuing in that field. So personal statement, again, is very personal. Similarly, the statement of purpose, you'll also talk about kind of your interest in the field, but you want to make sure that you're specifically talking about why the program you're applying to fits you. So you want to do a lot of research on the particular program in the school that you're applying to, and this is deeper than just kind of going on their website and saying, oh, they have psychology, I want to study psychology, great. You really want to figure out what courses you'll be required to take, what elective courses are available, and how that kind of fits in with your academic and professional goals. So for example, if you're interested in child psychology and you're doing the research on a particular school and you see that they have the opportunity to be an intern in a child development lab, you obviously want to include that in the specific statement of purpose, because that lets the admissions committee know that you've done your research and that you aren't just applying to random schools. Even if you may be, you definitely want to make them think that this is the only school that you're applying to, and the way that you do that is by doing research. You can also identify specific faculty that you may want to work with or whose research has really affected you, and include that in there as well. And finally, if there are other opportunities available, like I mentioned earlier, internships, study abroad opportunities, all of those things that really will kind of enhance your education and really support your goals, you want to mention those because you're ultimately trying to demonstrate your value to the college or university, and the way that you do that is by demonstrating your interest in the field, but also acknowledging that you know that this particular school will be able to give you what you want to achieve your goals. So again, a lot of similarities between the two. Both of them you're kind of talking about your field of interest, but in the personal statement you can be a little bit more creative. In the statement of purpose you want to focus more on what you have to offer the school and what the school can offer you in return. Statement of purposes tend to be a little bit shorter. So keep in mind, the word count. Obviously, specifically with the personal statement, if you're writing a story, you can't write a 5-page story. So obviously it has to be very clear and concise. But you definitely want to give the admissions committee an idea of your personality and who you are and what you value. And you do that through how you're interpreting the experiences that you've had and how you're articulating your future goals. So I hope this helped. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment box below. And if you're interested in having me help you work through your personal statement, you can visit the website, writeyourpersonalstatement.com.